Oh, we weren't live. Now we're live. Hello, everybody. How's it
Hi,
going?
it's going
Hello,
well.
this is Nadi. Um,
Hi, everyone.
uh, and my name is Apostle Eddin. Thank you for joining us for this chat. Um,
Should
I
I
got to mute
introduce myself?
myself. Yes, please introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm a Somali ex-Muslim living in Finland. I'm half Finnish, half Somali. And I've been doing ex-Muslim content on TikTok for a while now, and that's how I actually met Aladdin.
Mhm.
And now we're here, so
Yeah, I met a bunch of people on TikTok, um, some of whom I'm becoming friends with, and it'll be interesting to bring them all like one by one on this show.
yeah,
Because I feel like sometimes we don't get to talk about ourselves enough when we make these TikToks. We're talking about specific issues or topics. So this gives people a chance to hear more about us or just see us in a
yep,
conversation. Um, I was telling people earlier on a live stream that I wanted to emulate. It's as if I'm having a conversation with Nadi for the first time in person. That's what I wanted to feel like. So I want to introduce you guys to that conversation. So welcome. What do you feel like? What's on your mind today, Nadi? Is there anything in particular?
I have a lot of stuff in my mind right now, but mostly I'm focused on this stream. This is my first time doing a live stream, outside of TikTok, so I'm
Right.
kind of nervous.
Oh, no need to be. I'm carrying the nervousness for both of us, but it'll be fine. So something that's on my mind lately is life in my 20s. Um, I thought I would love it. I thought that, finally, like getting a job, being independent, that whole thing is going to
Mm,
be great. But there's a lot of challenges in it. And then, like, I don't know, I feel like talking about that a little bit. What do you think?
for example, paying bills. That sucks.
Paying bills, especially when you're like, you can't do economies of scale if you're single or even with one other person,
Mm,
meaning you can't buy like big quantities to get good sales, that kind of thing.
yep,
uh, Life is more expensive when you're like single in
exactly.
your 20s. Yeah.
But I
um
think moving out was the best decision I've ever made in my life. So I'm moving out so early. Well, to me, it was early. I was 18, if I remember correctly. And even though being independent has some, it has some issues. For example, stuff is so expensive, and paying my own fucking bills. Sorry for cursing. I don't know if that's allowed
that's
here.
fine.
But
Yeah, just feel free.
but on the other side, I can wear whatever I want. I can be with who I want. I can speak the way I want. So
Yeah.
I
I
think that's a huge plus.
There's definitely a lot of advantages to it. I don't mean to rub these advantages in people's face, those who aren't able to move out, for example. Um, but there's definitely things like avoiding unnecessary conflict about
Mm.
a topic like since we're both ex-Muslims, for example. Um, I feel like there would be a lot of friction in a lot of households with an ex-Muslim who's out of the closet about it.
Mm,
Um, and just like friction in everyday stuff that we would not ask for, but it would just be constantly a topic that is brought
exactly.
up. So
And
that
I
is a
don't
huge advantage. Yeah, living alone.
exactly, and I don't think it's rubbing it in people's faces because talking about the good sides of being independent and living, alone, and being separate from your family if your family is toxic, like it's not rubbing it
Mhm.
in people's faces because I want to remind people that there is life outside. There are toxic households. There is, life outside that they haven't been able to yet experience, but they will maybe someday. So I think it's a way to give some people hope, for a better
Mhm.
future,
No,
if you get
you're
what I mean.
absolutely right about that. Yeah, I did not
Yeah.
think of it that way as well. It's encouraging, for those who are too scared, who think it's just bleak, if they do
Mm,
take that step and they need that push, like realize that a lot of experiences are good and it's not the end of the world.
yep.
Not to minimize it. Um, yeah, and I feel like it's I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, but um, I feel like it's not only if you have an awful family, for example, that you need to move out or that it might be a good idea for you. Um, it's also especially if you're someone who's at odds with their family's beliefs, no matter how civil
Mm.
it is in the house, you will not be able to live your life to its fullest extent because you will be having to avoid conflict. You're having to hide stuff.
Yep.
You're having to make compromises because there's always this idea that, can you at least, pray a little bit? Can you at least do
Yep.
this, even if you aren't a good Muslim? So that is incessant, and like even if your family's
Yeah,
not
you
an
cannot
abusive
fully be
family,
yourself.
yeah, yeah. So it gives you a chance to, explore life in the ways that
Mm.
will let you grow, in your character. Um, but it does come with challenges,
And
like the
I think
bills.
it has made me appreciate the small things in life, to be honest. Like, I'm in control of, everything, that I do in my
Mhm.
life, what I eat, like what time of day I wake up, I don't have to, wake up every day for Fajr and stuff. Like, all
Oh
the
God, yeah.
little things, like, I appreciate them every single day. So,
So you're saying you chose to go to eternal hell forever because you don't want to wake up for Fajr. That's what you're saying,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's what you're going to be quoted on
I'd rather
in this
sleep,
interview.
you know,
Yes.
the hellfire is not, it is not that difficult. I think I'll
Yeah, I'm
manage
a
it.
heavy sleeper. I'll probably sleep there too, in hellfire.
Jesus.
Um, yeah. Okay. So this is a bit out of left field, but tell me your favorite word in any language. Like, do you have a word that you think sounds interesting or funny or
Favorite
um,
word in any language?
expressive?
Uh, in any language. I think. Okay, can I curse?
Yeah,
Okay, I think maybe
go for it.
vittu is good. It's Finnish. It means fuck.
Okay, that's your favorite word. Is it just because
Yeah,
it's expressive? Like you can put it
it's really
anywhere and it'll work?
expressive. It's vocal. It's brutal in a sense because like fuck in English, it's not that deep as vittu. If I say haista vittu, which means fuck you, it feels way more condescending
No.
and rude. I
Oh,
like it. I don't know how to
okay.
explain it, but I like
That's
it.
that's interesting. That's an interesting choice. All right.
And actually,
Um,
it's a really old word.
okay. In like old Finnish, kind of.
Yeah.
Hmm. See, I don't think people should never cuss. Like I think cussing has a time and a place, and it's expressive sometimes. Like when you don't have to be very extremely eloquent when you're upset about something. It
Mm,
helps convey how angry you are. Um, anyhow, the word that I
I
had in
agree.
mind, um, someone taught me just a few words of Tagalog, which is what Filipinos, the language of the Filipinos. And if you ask someone, how are you, like, kamusta ka? And they answer mabute, which means I am good. And it's just
Okay.
mabute is the funniest response. Like, how are you doing? Mabute is
That's
is
awesome.
my favorite word ever. Um, so yeah, that's my choice for that.
But actually, another favorite word that I have are like the so-called Islamic and Arabic ones. For example, I still use astaghfirullah even though I'm not a Muslim. I don't know why, but it stuck with me.
That's
I
the
love that
Somali
word.
in you. That's the
Yeah, I
Somali in
know.
you, I
I know.
think. Yeah. It always trips me out, like
I never
hearing.
get rid of that part of me.
No, and you shouldn't. Like, you don't have to just because you're not Muslim anymore to change the words that you use. It has a
Some people
deeper
actually
meaning.
get offended when
Mhm,
I do my lives on TikTok and I'm like, wallah, astaghfirullah. They're like,
mhm.
what are you doing, sister? You're not a Muslim. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. It stuck with me. It's
And
part
the
of the
word,
culture. I don't think
yeah.
it necessarily has to do always with religion, even though it has
Mhm.
religious connotations, but in a way, it's part of our culture as well.
No, absolutely. Like when someone asks you something and you say inshallah, means, God willing, we'll see. Hopefully, it means a lot of
To me,
things, not
inshallah
just
means, yeah, it's not going to happen.
it could mean that. Depends on the tone, depends on your inflection while you're saying it.
Mm,
Um, but it doesn't necessarily mean like you're seriously thinking if
yeah,
God wants it to happen, it will
yeah,
happen. Like that's a
exactly.
weird thought, you know. Um, yeah, I was gonna say it trips me out. Like, I moved to a place for a little bit where there were a lot of Somalis around who speak English, and they would throw in some Arabic words, and it just threw me off. Like they would use them in certain ways. I'm like, wait a second, like, so do you speak Arabic? No, not really. It's just
Mm,
these words, and people
yeah.
confuse them with Arabs, and I'm like, okay, I guess you're part of the gang now.
Mm.
um,
A lot of Somalis
yeah.
actually know how to speak, the Arabic language, but I don't think
Mm,
that many young Somalis know how to speak it. But it's just a part of our vocabulary, random words that we throw here and there.
mhm.
For example, I speak Finnish, and then just randomly I throw Somali words, Arabic words. It's just
Yeah.
our culture, I think.
Yeah, no, a lot of countries do that. Just there's a lot of words derived like from English words. It's funny
Mm,
to trace a word sometimes to see where it started, and it could have started somewhere, went to English and came back to that same origin and changed like 2 or 3 times. Um, I have a lot of interests about like random topics like that, but never enough time to actually look into it. Past watching a 5-minute video about it.
mm,
Do you ever have that problem? Like just not
sometimes,
keeping up? Yeah.
sometimes, yeah.
No.
But usually I just Google. Like I'm just okay, well, and then I pretend I already knew the word.
Okay. That's one way to do it. Like when you think of the fact, you just Google it and learn about it then, right? I
Mm,
guess. Yeah. Um, my YouTube watch later playlist got to the maximum of, I think, like 5,000 videos at some point. And like
mm.
for over years now, right? Not that I watch YouTube that often all the time, but just because I see something interesting, I'm like, okay, I'll watch it later. And I've hoarded like to the point that YouTube said you can't add any more videos to your
I can
watch
relate.
later.
That happened to me as well. I
Yeah.
can
Do
relate.
you ever get to them, or like
No,
no, they're lost
never.
forever? And some of them get deleted, and I'm like, what was it that got deleted? Oh well, too bad.
Yeah, and then I
Um,
obsess over it, even though I never watched them.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think this kind of on-demand entertainment is good for us, like TikTok, YouTube, any of the stuff where like I don't know if you remember a time when if we wanted to watch something, we had to wait to the time of day when it's playing on TV.
Of
You
course,
know?
I remember.
Yeah, like we did other stuff during the day, and then we had an hour or 2 or 3 booked for that thing.
That was
Um,
healthier.
yeah. Now
And
you
actually, I
just
think we have
open.
too much information on our hand from various different, platforms, and a lot of the information is biased. And for example, in TikTok, I always see the fake news spreading. I used to think that, people who spread fake news, they are like boomers and old people. But no, I think right now it's the young people and Generation Z.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's too much information definitely out there. And a lot of them, I think most of it is not like accurate.
Yeah, I noticed it's scary the kind of like bubbles that form. And I saw that one time, for example, I saw an atheist friend make a video about some very bad Christian opinion, something about homosexual
Yeah,
relations and so on.
as it always is.
So what's that?
As it
Yeah,
always is about
as
homosexual.
it always is. They're obsessed with you guys. And then you just, yeah, so I followed the stitch to the original Christian video, and the amount of likes and comments, like the ratio was like so many people were in support of this, and there were not a lot of people opposing it. There'd be a few here
Mm,
and there, but just realizing that TikTok gave all of these similar people the same video, and then they're all convinced that everyone in the world agrees with them, or the majority of the
exactly.
world agrees with them.
That's how the
So
algorithm works.
yeah. So when you see like a video of yours or mine with like a lot of comments or more than likes, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean that like your opinion is wrong. It means that you're getting engagement from people on the opposite side of the aisle, right? Which is kind of a good thing sometimes.
Yeah,
Um,
but sometimes I wish I would get like attraction, from people, other ex-Muslims, because most of the people that comment on my videos are triggered conservative religious
mm,
people, and sometimes I get tired of it. I like to have a meaningful, conversations with people that might think differently, but also people that have the same background or viewpoints as I do.
fair enough. It's kind of a curse at the same time. Yeah. I love it when my videos are like, or sometimes my live streams, I see the comments are mostly people just chilling, like asking me questions. Even some Muslims like stick around, and I've received some like good feedback from some of them.
Yeah, I noticed.
But then, yeah, sometimes it hits the wrong side of TikTok, and then your stream gets taken down because of the
And
amount
then
of like
suddenly
cuss
you
words.
have like, I don't know, 200 viewers or 100 viewers, and everyone is, shouting at each other, mocking
Yeah.
you and stuff, and then your live stream goes down.
Yep, that's just like our usual, happens
Yep.
without a warning kind of thing.
And now you have
Um,
like, I don't know, 4 backup accounts. I don't know,
oh my
too
God,
many,
I have
too many to
like
count.
yeah, I have right now 2 backup accounts because I had 4 backup accounts and 2 of them were taken down permanently. Like
Well,
without a lot of like again, no infractions or anything, just mass reporting. And no
mm,
hateful videos. Like I recently made a video about a joke about farting during prayer, and I'm thinking about whether it wasn't like that disrespectful. I'm just thinking like in the joke, why does this offend God, and what does wudu do to clean my butt? It doesn't.
mm.
And I just called it like maybe I said, "Is God behind me? Is that why he's offended?" And it got taken down for hate speech. Who am I being hateful against here by making a fart
Oh
joke?
my God.
It's just yeah. Um,
Yeah, fart
throwing
jokes
out
are too
police.
offensive. That is hate speech now.
See, that's why you can't police yourself and just appease the people who don't want you to talk about the topic. You can't just respectfully or however they want to put it. There'll never be a respectful way of critiquing Islam, ever.
I
Um,
agree 100%. Like, I could say things in the most nice way I can, and people will still accuse me of being Islamophobic, spreading hate speech. Like, no
mhm.
matter if I'm talking about my own experiences, if I'm talking about Somali culture that has certain Islamic traditions that are harmful, but no matter how nicely I put it, people will attack me for it. And I think I'm being really moderate in the way I speak about Islam, because I want Muslims, as well, to listen to what I say. I don't want to offend, necessarily anyone, but it just happens.
Yeah, sometimes though, like the goal is never to offend them, but we're not gonna make jokes that like we police so that it doesn't offend them, because there's always gonna be someone who's
Mm,
offended. But
yep.
sometimes that little bit of offense, that little bit of mix of laughing and then finding it offensive is good, because it makes you realize, um, all right, so if there's something funny about it, what is it? Like, why is it funny? And then when they
Mm,
realize, even though it's holy, it is funny and weird, that's a good thing. It's getting them to think about it.
yep.
I want to highlight this comment for a second. Islamophobe is just equivalent to homophobe. What do you think about that?
Islamophobe is equivalent. No, it is not equivalent, because I think homophobia is talking about people. Islamophobia mixes, Muslims and Islam together, and that is the issue. Because when we criticize Islam, we usually get the kind of comment that's, yeah, you're being Islamophobic, even though we're criticizing the religion and ideology and necessarily not the people. So I don't think it's comparable at all to homophobia, because homophobia is always about people.
I'm 100% on board with that. I think the word Islamophobia is harmful to Muslims, because if you're talking about someone's fear or disliking of a religion or ideology, that is justified. Like it is okay. It's like saying opposing. I don't want to bring up the N word, but opposing what Hitler did is, or Hitler's ideology is hate. It's not. Like just disliking an idea is not hate. Um, so mixing the ideas with the Muslims is just going to give you a label that is both valid and invalid at the same time. So
Yeah,
no, we don't.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you're trying to compare, Nazism to Islam, or if you're just
No, let's
trying to
talk about
compare.
eugenics, not Nazism. Let's talk
Okay,
about
okay, yeah.
eugenics, for example. Sorry, I meant to say the part of it. I was lost in my thoughts. I meant to say the part of it that has to do with like race theories and eugenics and things like that.
Yeah, you can
Um,
oppose, and you are allowed to oppose an ideology. There's nothing wrong with that. You are allowed to even be fearful of an ideology. The issue,
exactly.
like, sometimes I understand when people use the word Islamophobia when there might be some anti-Muslim bigots who, like, well, to be honest, like there are marginal, interpretations of Islam that can be inclusive, but I'm not saying that we should whitewash, all the issues that we have with mainstream Islam because of those marginal, views. But there are like Muslims who follow feminist scholars and stuff like that, and there are anti-Muslim bigots who are like, well, I'm demonizing Islam collectively, and while I'm demonizing Islam, Islam is like telling you to kill infidels, it's telling you to kill kafirs and gay people, blah blah blah, and they apply it to every single Muslim because they think every single Muslim follows the same interpretation of Islam, which is the one that he has demonized, and that is the way that he attacks Muslims individually, every single Muslim, even though they collectively do not follow the same interpretation. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I'm totally on board there.
Like
Yeah.
in that sense, I could maybe use the word Islamophobia, but most of the times it's not useful.
I agree with you there. I hope we can come up with a new word, like call it Muslimophobia, I suppose.
Yeah, I
Then,
usually just talk about anti-Muslim bigotry or something like that.
Mhm. But even then, to say like there's a large spreading problem about the attitude towards apostasy in Islam, for example, it's not saying that every single parent will physically harm their child, but that
Mm.
attitude being so prevalent will lead to edge cases that are, extreme versions
Yeah,
of that. So saying something like that is not being anti-Muslim, for example. It doesn't mean that
yeah,
we should presume that every Muslim beats their child or something.
yeah. Of course,
Um,
but but what I was trying to, when I gave you the example, I was trying to say that there are some people, for example, in Finland, when I was a Muslim, I remember like I used to get attacked because people saw me as, a demonized version of Islam, and they thought I followed that demonized version of Islam because I used to classify myself as a liberal Muslim,
mhm.
and individually, I think like it's really harmful and it could be labeled maybe as Islamophobia, but that
I
doesn't
think
mean
it would
that.
be labeled as like anti-Muslim bigotry,
Yeah, it
is
is
what we would call it.
anti-Muslim bigotry, but
Mhm,
his bigotry comes from his view of Islam that he thinks every Muslim follows
mhm.
or applies to every Muslim, collectively.
Right.
You get what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's a mix of both then, like, and that's why it's useful to have
But
both
and
labels.
actually, it's racialized in a way.
Mhm,
There are like white people that attack every single person that they think might be a
mhm.
Muslim because they have a certain background, you know. So it's in
Yeah.
a way anti-Muslim bigotry can be racism as well.
Oh, yeah,
Because
I
even
agree with
though
that.
I'm not a Muslim anymore, I still get anti-Muslim remarks, and I'm like,
Mhm.
so because I'm Somali.
Oh, I got called every name in the book, about that kind of thing. Um,
Mm,
and I feel like it'll do everybody benefit if, like, for example, if you see a white person in the West, you don't presume they're Christian, right? They could
yeah,
be non-religious, they could be ex-Christian, they could be whatever it may be, other religion. But then if you see a brown person, especially coming from, a Somali background or an Arab background, they're
yeah,
presumed Muslim, even by
yeah.
Muslims themselves. They're dealt with as a Muslim, as a bad Muslim, if you're not carrying yourself like a good Muslim,
Mm,
right? If they start stopping, like, sorry, if they stop presuming that every person from their background is a Muslim, then there will be separation, and people will realize not everyone even believes the religion that we
I
so,
agree.
hate.
And
So it'll be better for everybody. Yeah.
I've experienced, that in my Somali community, every single Somali person is viewed as a Muslim, They, you know, they basically presume that you are a Muslim because you are a Somali. And if you don't wear the hijab or if you, wear revealing clothing or drink alcohol or something like that, they assume, well, they are a bad Muslim even though they might not be a Muslim in the first place. I don't
I
know
agree
how
with that.
common that is
Yeah.
among other Somali communities, but I noticed that in my community.
And it extends, like, especially obviously if you live in a Muslim country, then everyone around you, or a Muslim majority country, it's not just your community, it's your workplace, it's everywhere you go.
Yeah, you
Um,
cannot be a non-Muslim Somali publicly in Somalia.
yeah. And it's not just about like wearing certain clothes or like wanting to drink alcohol, because that's always given as an example. What if you want to get drink alcohol? I personally like don't like drinking it that much, though I understand why some people do. But it could be something as simple as like, say you own a dog, you would get advice from people in the community saying, brother, you got to be careful how to clean
Mm,
yourself because the Prophet said, and every time you have to shut it down by saying, I'm not Muslim anymore, and then they turn to like gossiping
yeah,
about it,
they
or
get
they say,
shocked.
yeah, and they're like, can you explain to me why you're not Muslim? Like, I don't want to have the conversation with every single person.
Mm,
So it's very imposing, and I wish they would just stop presuming that everyone around them who looks like them is
and
Muslim.
they always think they are the one who will convert them back or convert them to Islam.
The amount of 14-year-old
Just
kids
have a
who like
conversation with
DM
me.
me, yeah, yeah, they're just like,
Come
let me
to
just go on
Discord.
live
Let's
stream.
have a debate. Let's
Yeah,
have a conversation. Like, nah.
yeah. They're like, if you wanted to, you could debate a scholar. What is the debate here? Like, we already reached our conclusions. We're talking about how absurd it
Yeah,
is. I don't need to debate someone about whether or not you can,
but
beat your kids if they don't pray, or beat your wife, or whatever it may be. Um, yeah, it's just
but
a
it's
waste of
weird because I
everybody's time.
think when I
Mhm.
see apostates or ex-Muslims, I don't see them, going to every single Muslim's comment, "Hey, want to have a debate with me? I can turn you away from Islam. I can make you an atheist or something like that." Because I
Mhm.
think we mostly respect people's choice to believe in a religion, but it seems like many, unfortunately, many religious Muslims, especially on the internet, do not respect our choice to not believe in Islam. Because I'm not
I
out
mean,
there
yeah,
going to debate and DMing Muslims every single day, asking them to debate me. But they are
yeah.
always asking us to debate them to convert us back to Islam.
Yeah, I see it, and sometimes I see, especially younger, more recent ex-Muslims, or
Mm,
sometimes people who aren't even Muslim at all, try to poke at these fights, but I don't see it condoned or sought out by the community, really. And I
mm,
hope it's not. And I tell people that you don't want to conduct yourself that way, and you're not convincing anyone of anything. You're just both fighting each other,
yep.
um, unless there is a like someone's belief that they're perpetuating a harmful belief, and you think you should say something about that, that's different. But if they're talking about how like I don't know, zakah is a good thing, for example,
Yeah,
or
exactly. Yeah.
like, okay, sure, like just do your thing. But sometimes they make outrageous claims like, if only everybody, like if we followed the Islamic Sharia law financial system in the whole world, everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, okay, calm down.
Yeah,
That's a
but that's
different
different.
claim. That's not.
Yep.
Yeah. um, but yeah, I
And
hope
it's not
they like
just their individual, choice if they want to apply
yeah,
it to everyone.
that's imposing stuff on
And of
other
course, we
people.
can
Yeah.
have political, because Islam is not just a religion, it's also a political system, it's a set of
Mhm.
laws. So,
Yeah.
like, we can have debates, we can have conversations, but when I see random Muslims, I'm not like assuming they want to leave Islam or have a debate with me on Islam, you know?
Yeah.
It depends on the
Yeah.
context, really.
Well, I want to ask you about a slightly different topic. What's um, aside from difficulties, unless you want to talk about that, difficulties with family members and so on, what's new that's good about your life outside of Islam?
Outside of Islam, of course, the most noticeable thing is that I can wear whatever the fuck I want. Um, and of course, I can criticize Islam, on a public platform, because when I was living with my parents, I would never have done that, because it would have led to many, many fights. Um, so I can voice my opinions publicly. That's a good thing. That's a major thing for me. Um,
Mhm.
and just going out whenever I want, like just freedom overall, you know.
Mhm.
I'm free to do
I mean,
whatever I want, be it what I
mhm,
eat, what I wear, who I talk to, who I'm with, who I'm attracted to sexually. Like,
mhm,
everything is on my control. It's a
mhm.
lot of things, to be honest.
I've had all the same benefits that you speak of, and I've also noticed some benefits inwards as well. depending on how your experience was or how your journey went leaving Islam. In my case, I feel like a lot of my fears and worries and complications in how I think about things were gone.
Yeah, I agree.
I,
It's
I
the
was like
same.
way more stressed and depressed as a Muslim trying to make sense of
Mm,
Islam because I
yeah,
wanted to stay. I thought like I'm this stressed because I'm losing my faith, because it's a bad thing, you know.
yeah,
Um, no,
I
it's so
completely
much better
understand.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I had this mental gymnastics over like, like we have these questionable verses in the Quran, like, two witnesses, wife beating, etc. And I always try to do these mental gymnastics to explain it to me in an apologist way, that why it is justified. And also
Mhm.
slavery in Islamic history, the slaves that Prophet Muhammad owned, like, and Aisha, even though like that's a really common issue that I don't know how to explain it to how to explain it, but
No, I understand what you mean. It's you're more honest with yourself,
yeah, I don't
because
feel like I'm
this.
lying to myself anymore.
Mhm.
Like in that sense, like I don't have to justify an ideology that wasn't made for me. That I do not fancy in any way. I do not have to justify it every single day of my
Mhm.
life to myself or to other people. And
Yeah.
also, I think I'm able to think freely without fearing hellfire or punishment from God or
Mhm.
any, supernatural being.
On top of all that, I think another advantage is um, when we're honest with ourselves. Before, I feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like I had this. I have to preface every answer when someone would ask me, "Oh, like since you're a Muslim or since you do like, can give me more information about that part of the world. Um, what do you think about this and that?" And sometimes my answers
Mm,
would just be like, um, I just choose not to think about that. Or if you're Muslim, you would understand that like you just have to leave it up to God.
mm,
Um, or sometimes if they ask me like, "Are you Muslim?" and I'm like, it's complicated. And that's when I realized like I can't. This is not making me um, honest with myself. This is just me
yep.
avoiding the problem. Yeah. Now you don't avoid the problem, and you've dealt
Yeah,
with
I
it.
completely. Yeah,
Mhm.
I can relate.
Yep. Um, I've also had a lot more um, free time to consider like planning my life,
Mm,
because before I just like I wanted to do well in life, get a good job, just get married, maybe so on and so forth. But like it didn't really matter too much because I was also focused on the afterlife. Why would you waste your time
yep.
trying to like even like traveling too much? Shouldn't you like save that money and do good
Mm,
with it for other people? But also, I think
because you will
obviously
be
you should have
rewarded
a,
in the afterlife.
yeah, not because you want to help people, but
Mm,
because you're thinking of the bigger houses and the bigger whatever that you're getting in
mm,
Jannah. I think you should be able to strike a balance yourself, like help people for, that there's also a lot more rewarding after leaving Islam. You're not doing it for recognition from anybody,
mm.
unless you are doing it for that reason. That's different. But
And
yeah.
actually, I think it has given me meaning, in life, living Islam, because I'm living like in the moment. I'm living for myself. I'm not living in hopes of having a good afterlife, like what life could be after I die, you
Hmm.
know. So in that sense, I think I have more meaning in my life right now that I've left Islam. And in a way, I feel kind of sad that I know there are many, Muslims, questioning Muslims even, that are trapped in toxic households, um and their parents force them to do certain religious rituals, pray 5 times a day, fast, etc. And you do all that stuff, and if there isn't an afterlife, you did all that stuff for what, so to me, I don't want to sound offensive, but this is just my opinion. To me, it sounds like I'm not the one wasting my life, it's the people who do that.
And that's
for
not to
what?
say that you should go like about your life and doing all the bad things because nothing's
Mm,
going to happen afterwards. I think what I would add to that is just, or what I think you also mean to say is, um, like you do good things for good things. You're not worried that if you die and there is an afterlife that you're going to hell because you've been a
mm,
good person, even if even if you don't worship God. So that's why
mm.
I feel like I'm not worried about the what if God is real question, because even if he is, he's not going to torture me for this, is what I believe.
Yep.
Um,
I
yeah.
used to have a really big problem. Like I was fearing of hellfire. Like it really contributed to my depression and anxiety disorder. That I had religion. I think religion,
Mm.
in a way, developed my mental illnesses. But um, what was I gonna say about? Wait,
What
wait a
were we
second.
talking about?
We're talking about hellfire.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's important to get
but
help. Like,
yeah, but it feels good that I'm not afraid of anything, you know.
mhm.
And if there is a God, I do not think a merciful and loving God would punish people by torturing them, with fire. It does not make
For
any
something
sense
that
to me. It does not
you know,
sound logical
yeah,
or compassionate at all.
yeah. For something that isn't even a crime, for a decent person to go to hell just because they didn't believe in a story, I don't think that that's possible.
And God, of course, you know this, but God gave us, if there is a God, let's say there is a God, He gave us the capacity to think, to question His existence, to question the Quran. He gave us the
Hmm.
capacity to do so. And when He created us, He knew that we would disbelieve. And then He punishes us for that. So basically, He punishes us for His own doings. It doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
it's all a grand play, in God's stage of life. But we see past that, and
Mm,
I want to ask you, like, before we wrap up, I want to ask you about something a little more like a different tone here. Um, what is the next thing you plan on doing to take care of yourself? Like just a small act or something, a big goal or something. Because I know lately you've been busy with certain things and you're probably not thinking about how you're going to relax or when. But what would be something that you want to do to relax?
to relax, to take care of myself.
Yeah.
I don't know, just focusing on myself and my mental health and on my friends. I've met a lot of amazing ex-Muslims in Finland, Somali
Mhm.
ex-Muslim women, and if they're watching this live right now, like I love you guys. And just
Mhm.
having those kind of people around me has contributed a lot to my well-being, and I hope to make new friends and new.
Mhm.
Well, I don't want to talk about my love life, but but anyway, like those people have contributed, like my chosen family, to my well-being, and I want to
Mhm.
focus on them.
Well, that's a nice shout out, and
And
I
like
hope they
I don't,
know the recognition.
even though it feels bad in a way, I can admit it feels bad that I do not have the support of my Muslim community that I used to have,
Mhm.
Somali community. But I made
Mhm.
a new one, and that's a big thing for me, especially knowing that they have the same kind of background as me, because being Somali and ex-Muslim is it's not easy.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're able to cultivate and find these communities, because community is important to people. So some of the advantages of being in a Muslim community are lost on us when it's really about the
Mhm.
community itself, not the religion. So it's
Yeah,
good to
I
replace
agree
it with something like
100%. And
that.
like some
Yeah.
of the traditions are nice. For example, celebrating Eid. You get
Mm.
gifts, you meet family, you eat good food together, and Ramadan even like it
Mhm.
feels warming in a way. Like I don't know how to
There's
explain
something
it.
like this. There's something spiritual feeling about sharing an
Yeah,
experience with a lot of
yeah.
people. Um,
So a
yeah.
lot of the things I miss is not the religion itself, like believing in the religion itself, but the traditions that come with it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I hope we find
How
like
are
we
you?
cultivate our own.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but how are you going to take care of yourself then?
Well, I don't think you've answered my question sufficiently. I want you to think about like a specific small thing, like an action,
Specifics.
like I'm going to read a book or I don't know, whatever it is you want to do to relax. You got to plan your next one because sometimes we don't even think about what would be relaxing and then before we know it, we're scrolling on TikTok and that's not
Mm.
really relaxing. So I
Yeah,
want you
it
to
is
think about something.
definitely not relaxing. It's
Especially when your
terrible.
For You page is like all kind of aggressive, people who you don't want to engage with. Uh, so yeah, yeah. I think we all need like a separate account just for scrolling through the fun stuff
Yep.
that we like. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I should start one
But
of
anyway,
those.
so you want me to answer or
No, you could think about it. It's just I
yeah,
want
I'll
you to
think
think
about
about
it.
something. Yeah, yeah. I mean, my answer would be so I bought a hammock, the beach looking.
Mm.
Do you know what a hammock is? Yeah,
Yep.
I bought one of those, um, and I put it in my room, and I forget to use it. Like it's right there. I see it every day, and I forget to use it. And I think today I want to sit down with a good book and just chill in my hammock for a bit with some music. Um,
That
yeah,
sounds
because I
good.
haven't had a break in a while. So yeah,
You should.
yeah, I'll definitely do that. Um, I want to thank you
I
for joining me today in this chat. By the way, I know you've had to take some time out of your day to do it.
no worries. Thank you for inviting me. I
Yeah,
was and I still am kind of nervous, because this is my first live stream live outside of TikTok, but it was really
mhm.
nice being here.
Well, I don't know about you, but I kind of forgot that we're live streaming. Like I was just talking, and it seemed like
Me
you did as
too.
well. Yeah, you didn't seem like you were focusing on an audience or the camera or anything. So kudos. There you go. You popped your first live stream on YouTube. So,
Yay.
so all right.
Thank you.
Well, thanks again for joining, and thank you everyone for
Thank you
watching.
for inviting
Please,
me.
yeah, for sure. Please subscribe to Nadi as well. I put the links in the comments. Like I
Oh,
put her link
thanks for the shout
to
out.
her TikTok. Yeah, for sure. Follow me as well, but make sure to follow her first. Um, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Catch up with you, Nadi, on another one of these shows in the future, hopefully.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.